Hello, everybody, this is Tim here again, here with another movie review. This time I called up with Leprechaun Returns. Yes, that's right, he returns, baby, to the Sci-Fi Channel. Yes, this is a made-for-TV film for the Sci-Fi Channel. Leprechaun Returns. It is a direct sequel to the original film and even brings back the character of Ozzy. Basically, what this film goes with is the idea that each movie pretty much was a story about a different leprechaun in their own continuity. And this film is a direct sequel to the original film, which is very interesting. Now, they didn't get back Warwick Davis, who declined to reprise his role because, according to what I've read, he's a family man now and he doesn't feel comfortable doing horror right now. So, well, that's fine. If he really truly wants to step down and do other stuff and is comfortable in the Leprechaun role, that's fine. So we have this new guy. I think his name is like Lyndon or London or something like that. Porco, something like that. He plays the Leprechaun. I'll say this: the dude does a good job. He does a good job. Some parts in the movie he's actually great, but as a whole, he does a solid, good job. He's not as good as Warwick Davis, and for the first like 19 to 20 minutes of the movie, I wasn't warming up to him. I was like, well, he's okay. He's not bad. But after about close to about the end of the first act, I was like, you know something? This guy's good. And he had some funny one-liners. He wasn't able to deliver the rhymes with as much charm as Warwick Davis, but for 99% of the time, he was really fun to watch. At his worst, he was okay. He was never bad, which was cool. He's much better than the dude from Leprechaun Origins, but that's not even on that actor, that guy, whatever. He didn't even get a chance to play a character. That was just like some golem creature. This is far better than Leprechaun Origins. I'll just go ahead and say this right now. I'd give this movie from 1 to 4, 4 stars out of 4. This was really surprising. And I looked on the internet after I watched this and noticed it had a lot of good reviews and even has like a decent IMDb rating. It has a freaking 6 out of 10. So apparently I'm not the only one who enjoyed this. And I can see why people are enjoying this. This movie was a surprise. I expected this to like suck ass as like a Sci-Fi Channel original flick, but this movie has it's well directed. B, it's well acted. The acting is good. I mean, it's good for a horror movie B flick. It's good, and the special effects are almost all practical, and they're only CGI when they absolutely have to be. And the CGI is okay. It's good for the most part, and the movie has a good budget. This movie has a good budget. I was surprised that this movie has money behind it. That was weird to me. The fact that this flick has money behind it. Because you would think, like a Leprechaun movie dumped on the Sci-Fi Channel would just, they'd just be kind of like, crapping it out or whatever. But there's real effort put into this flick to deliver quality. And I'll go ahead and say it. Out of the Leprechaun franchise, the first one I think is alright, an alright B flick. It's not a good movie or a great movie, but it's alright. The acting is fine. It's just, it gets a little bit too silly every now and then. Warwick Davis does a great job. As a whole, it's alright. Leprechaun 2, I used to hate Leprechaun 2. Thinking about it now, it's a passable movie. Leprechaun in Vegas, I think, is great, and it's still my favorite. Leprechaun in Space is terrible. It's the worst of the Warwick Davis films. Leprechaun in the Hood, I thought was passable. Leprechaun Back to the Hood, I thought was pretty good. I enjoyed Leprechaun Back to the Hood. And in this film, Leprechaun Origins was atrocious. It wasn't even a Leprechaun movie. It's some like weird cash-in movie, stupid crap. I don't know what it was. The Leprechaun had like Predator vision. It's so dumb. This movie, Leprechaun Returns, is my second favorite after Leprechaun in Vegas. The guy is not great like Warwick Davis as a Leprechaun, but he's good. This dude does a good, solid job as a Leprechaun. He surprised me. And then bring back the guy who played Ozzy in the original film, still driving around the same paint vehicle. He actually gets killed because he's like standing over the well, the same well from the original movie, and the water splashes up and like gets in his mouth, and the leprechaun like comes out of his stomach. Basically, you learn that if you leave any trace of the leprechaun behind after you destroy him, he can regenerate from that eventually. So that's pretty much what he does here. He comes out of the dude's stomach. He dies, which was sad, but he comes back later on in the film as a ghost and helps out the main character, who's the daughter of Jennifer Aniston's character, who also eventually died of cancer. But they don't treat it as like a, just like a getting rid of the character. It's actually an emotional plot point in the movie for the main character, the main girl, who does a good acting job. She surprised me. Nobody in this film is like really great in terms of acting, but they're all good. They're solid. And like the leprechaun, like later on when they capture him, he like starts speaking in her mom's voice. He's like, "If you let me go, you can have a wish, and I'll bring her back." That was pretty cool. And of course, she he thinks she's gonna do it, and she reaches down there, and she like shoves the hose in his mouth that they're pumping this clover juice in, because they got all this like plant stuff. It's like an environmental place. And one thing I really enjoyed about the film was at the end of the film when they kill the leprechaun, they bring back like different ways that you can kill the leprechaun from the other movies. Like they use the wrought iron. Like the girl has a necklace, and the leprechaun thinks it's gold, and he tries to grab it, but it's actually like iron. And the leprechaun can't touch iron. If you remember the second film, and they bring that back here, that was cool. Another thing, they used the four-leaf clovers on him. That was also cool. The one problem with the flick though is like the main girl keeps like seeing visions of like stuff like the leprechaun in her dreams and shit. It never really explains why. It never explains why. It's like, is she psychic? What? That plot line just gets totally dropped later. It never explains it. That was stupid. But when it comes to the leprechaun coming back to life and he goes on his killing spree, it's fun. It is fun. This leprechaun's a little bit more mean and vicious than the Warwick Davis one. Like the Warwick Davis one, you felt like if you gave him his gold, he would probably just leave you alone, just hit the road. This one, though, if you gave him his gold regardless, he would kill you. And they try to explain why the leprechaun looks different. It's because he, like, melded and stuff at the end of the original film. So when he comes back, he's like, ooh, my new look, I look even better than ever. So they actually explain it in terms of continuity. That was cool. And they bring back the idea that the leprechaun likes to shine shoes. That was pretty funny. And later on, he finds like these really crappy shoes, and he's like throws them in the trash, and he's like, "I'm doing fashion a favor." That was funny. And the special effects are pretty good in this flick. They're all practical, except for when CGI is absolutely necessary. Like there's a scene where the leprechaun like gets in front of this girl and she screams. He like grabs his face and pulls it off, and it's like a skeleton type face or whatever, and it starts screaming. That was funny. He like makes a deal with this alcoholic chick who's really annoying for like no reason. She's just like real bitchy, and they never really give a reason. But she's just an asshole. We don't really know why. She just is. So that was, her character's a little weak, but her acting was fine. Pretty much makes a deal with her, tells her to like lock the main girl, who's the daughter of Jennifer Aniston, in the house, and he'll let the rest of them go. And of course, he's full of shit, but that she does it anyway. And then of course later on, he kills her by like throwing this like top of this sprinkler thing into her mouth, and blood starts like shooting out of it, and she falls on the ground. That was cool, and she deserved it. I hated that character, and the movie wanted to. Some surprising kills, like the dude who seems like he's going to be the boyfriend of the main girl. He's like one of the last ones to die. He sacrifices himself to stall time, and he gets his head chopped off. There's some funny lines, like this dude wants to be like a filmmaker, and like the power goes out, and he's like, "Nice job, man." And he's like, and the dude looks at him and goes, "Oh, shut up, Scorsese," or whatever, or "Go shoot the stars, Scorsese." That was pretty funny. All in all, this is an enjoyable flick. They get to the end of the movie. They got the leprechaun in the house. There's like 3 girls left. There's this black girl with a great butt, and they get to the end of the movie, and they got the leprechaun in the house, and there's the 3 people left: the environmentalist chick, the black girl, and the main girl. The leprechaun gets destroyed by the four-leaf clovers and everything, but they have to burn the parts of his body that are left in order to keep him from coming back. But he starts rejuvenating, and he becomes these mini leprechauns. And he goes after the chick and causes her to fall on like this award that's like got a shovel like shape on it. And if she falls on it, it goes through her head. Pretty funny kill. And some of the callbacks to there's maybe one callback too many to the original. Like there's a scene later on where he gets his eye destroyed, and he like pulls dead Ozzy's eye out and replaces his own. You didn't really need that. Ozzy shows up at the end after they kill the leprechaun, and he's like saying, giving the girl like the thumbs up. That was pretty sweet way to sweet and sad way to give closure to his character. I appreciate that. One other thing is like the guys who were with Ozzy from the original film, they don't really give an answer for it here. I guess they could have been off doing whatever or anything else, but that would have been neat if they gave an answer to where they were. But then again, they could bring them back for another sequel. So they get the leprechaun at the end of it. He pretty much rejuvenates himself, so they blow the dude up in the house, and they leave. And I believe his gold is destroyed. It gets melded. And the only thing left is his hat, and he's able to rejuvenate from his hat because, there's a part of him left. He comes back from with just his hat, and you get a scene where he's hitchhiking down the road. Now the main character and the black girl are the ones that get away, and it's just like the leprechaun left, and he comes back, because of his hat is left, and it's like the next morning, and he's like walking down the road, and he's like got a sign up that says like "Take me to Bismarck" or whatever, and this freaking dude stops with these chickens in the back, and the leprechaun gets back in, and he's like, oh, because he's sitting back with the chickens, and the movie ends like him sitting there depressed, and then they like driving off. That was pretty funny. This movie brings back the humor really well that was missing from Leprechaun Origins. Leprechaun Origins, after you watch that, it really makes you appreciate this film more. This is a B movie, and it knows what it is, and it's fun. I like this movie better than the original, because the original got a little bit too silly at times. This film, or a little too wacky in its humor, and while it was funny, it was just too much goofy humor. This goes for more dark humor, and while the guy playing the Leprechaun is not as good as Warwick Davis, it's more entertaining here than the original film, and plus the body count's higher, and so you get more creative kills. So it makes it more fun in a slasher movie, B-movie way than what the original film was. But it's not as good as Leprechaun in Vegas to me. It doesn't have as many of like the cool, creative, magical kills as Leprechaun in Vegas had, which really won me over in that film. But this is a close second. This is a great B flick, and I recommend it for anyone that's a fan of the Leprechaun movies, or just stupid, silly B movies. It's perfectly watchable and entertaining highly. And if Warwick Davis doesn't want to come back as Leprechaun, I would be fine with this dude continuing as the Leprechaun. If Warwick Davis has to be replaced, this guy's good. He's good. I'm totally fine with this dude. So thank you guys, and I'll see you with the next review.